Welcome to Debbie's Grow, where we talk about issues that matter to the state, void of politics, fear of favor. A recent report by the Auditor General has uncovered gross financial infractions at the nation's power distributor, the Electricity Company of Ghana Limited. The report, which covered the company's finances for the 2023 financial year, showed that the then management of the company spent on 13 expenditure items without requisite approval of its board. 11 of the expenditure items were listed by the ranking member of the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament, Samuel Atamils, at a recent sitting of the committee on the report, which showed that the company overspent its budget by almost 170 million without the approval of its board. For some of the items, the company overspent its budget by about 60 million. So these are some of the things they listed that the money went into. So we have foreign training, and that budgeted amount of 31 Ghana cedis million, actual spending of 91 million. Then we have the cleaning expenses, budgeted amount of 2.8 million Ghana cedis, actual spending has to do with 10.4 million Ghana cedis. Then we have the honorariums expenses, budgeted amount of 3.8 million, actual spending 4.6 million. We have hotel expenses, budgeted amount 2.8 million, actual spending 3.6 million. So which means that the budgeted 2.8 million, but then they end up spending 3.6 million for staff fuel. Then the hotel expenses, the budgeted 9.3 million, but they end up spending 12.2 million. Then for cleaning expenses, the budgeted 2.8 million, but they end up spending 10.4 million. Communication expenses, they budgeted an amount of 4.2 million, but they ended up spending 7.9 million. Consultancy, they budgeted 40 million, but they end up spending 58.6 million. Industrial relations, they budgeted an amount of 2 million, but they ended up spending 13 million. Stakeholder expenses, they budgeted an amount of 3.1 million, but they ended up spending 49 million. Publicity, they budgeted an amount of 5.7 million, but they ended up spending 21.8 million. Professional fees and subscription, they budgeted an amount of 731,000, but they ended up spending 1.5 million. This is so huge. Very, 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 very huge. Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, overspent 170 million without approval from the board. They spent such a huge sum of money without approval. And so when you look at all the expenses, like foreign training, which they budgeted 31 million, but they ended up spending over 91 million. So they'll budget something like 2.8, and then they end up spending like 12 million. And then when it happens like that, it is the consumer that suffers. Imagine we do not have anything like the audit board. Imagine we do not have this board that go into details, find out what the money was used for. Because tell me why we keep paying for bills. Within a twinkle of an eye, there are increments in our bills. The utility we pay, water we pay, light we pay. And sometimes you pay for light and it's not even up to 1 month and it's gone. And ECG is overspending 170 million. 170 million. This is very, very huge. This is very, 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 very huge. And then they'll make it look as if that it is the consumer that is the cause of all this, and so we need to pay. And then one thing that they always lean on has to do with illegal connection. I don't support illegal connection. And that is why we keep preaching that every Ghanaian that is found using light or electricity, using water through illegal means, needs to be arrested, and then you need to pay. If you've been using that for 1 year, they should calculate it for you to pay. After that, you should be arrested and jailed for 1 or 6 months. That is how harsh we can treat these people. Not knowing, aside the illegal connection, this is what is going on at ECG. Expenses that do not even make sense. Communication expenses, cleaning expenses. Cleaning expenses was budgeted for 2.8 million, but they ended up spending 10.4 million for just cleaning. Cleaning expenses, 10.4 million. Why? And then when you come to hotel expenses, 9.3 million was budgeted. They ended up spending 12.2 million. Then fuel, staff for fuel, staff fuel. Which means that the workers in that company, the fuel they use is being catered for by the company. And so that money is our money, the taxpayers' money. And then they budgeted 2.8 million, but then they ended up spending 3.6 million. And all this happened in 2023. So this is under the previous administration. Nana Danko Akufo-Addo in his group, cohort. This happened under the previous administration. So this is an audit report. That is what was revealed. This is what went on. And then we end up paying abysmal money for electricity and for water. We don't even get to use it. We can even try to go out. Personally, we can go out and then interview people, and then you will get to know what is going on. You pay for water. And then the water comes like twice in a week. The water comes like twice in a week, but every month you pay for water bill. And then you buy prepaid within a twinkle of an eye. It finished. Like it gets finished just like that. And you don't even know what you are using. You don't even know what you are using. And then the money keeps going. It keeps going just like that. We are in a country where whatever you've been receiving from 2021 or maybe 2018, that is the same thing you are receiving in 2025. But there are increments in everything you buy almost every day. The transport fares are not stable. We pay for it. Whatever you've been using for 1 month, that is not what you will use. Because maybe you don't know, there's been increment in fuel. And now COPEC is calling for the scrubbing of the 1D levy. So a lot is going on. There is pressure going on. I remember the recent during the public account accountability series, yes. And then they revealed that I think ECG owned like a very huge debt. Then after they delve more into what led to that debt, we realized that it wasn't even about illegal connection. It wasn't about illegal connection. It's about something like this. The staffs are being paid, hotel money is being paid, cleaning is being paid. Yes, I know they were employed cleaners and all that. But 10 million. And you see, sometimes you even when you go there to interview these cleaners, maybe whatever they are taking in the month is not even up to 1,000 cedis. But they budgeted like 10 million for just cleaning expenses. 10 million. And we keep paying this every month. We keep paying more than what we are supposed to pay, and we don't even see the benefit of what we are paying for. That is why we are calling for strict monitoring and supervision. Just like the way appointees, government appointees, you need to account at the end of the day, institutions also need to account. ECG will need to account to us what exactly they use this monies for. And here they are. cleaning expenses, hotel expenses, all this communication expenses in Nakamumbi. And the money is huge. Why do we keep doing this to ourselves? Why do we keep hurting ourselves at the expense of the taxpayer? Why do we do that? The rules are there, but we are not enforcing it. That is it. We have the rules, but we are not enforcing it. They are not working. And that is why a lot of institutions get this courage to do whatever they want to do, because they know that at the end of the day, there is nothing that is holding them accountable. Something needs to be done. The money needs to be retrieved. You can't use our money to go and sleep in the hotel, cleaning 10 million and all that, whilst we suffer. That is not going to happen. Thank you for making time with me on the